Without objection.
Mr. Chair, I'd like unanimous consent to enter into the record an article that states RFK Jr. Super PAC has deep ties to Marjorie Taylor Greene, George Santos, which discusses the Super PAC title Heal the Divide, which states that only Robert F. Kennedy Jr. can unite the nation and start healing America, and also discusses Mr. Kennedy's discussions with Mr. Trump about working in his administration.
Without objection, the chair now recognizes the gentlelady from Texas, I believe is that the cue?
Thank you.
Ms. Garcia, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I live in Houston, but I was born and raised in rural South Texas. And shamefully, rural South Texas and all of rural Texas has been utterly devastated by COVID-19. In fact, only 56% of rural Americans are fully vaccinated versus almost 70% of their urban counterparts. And we know that being unvaccinated makes you up to 17 times more likely to die of COVID compared to people who are vaccinated and boosted. A recent study found that nearly 2,000 lives could have been saved in Texas if it had reached the vaccination levels of places like Vermont or Connecticut. However, today, despite the horrific COVID-19 tragedies, and thank you for describing those refrigerated morgues, if you will, because that was horrible to even see, but I'm sure there are some deniers, just like that deny the climate that even happened. But these tragedies have also plagued rural South Texas and families all around the country, but yet we give a platform to one of the biggest spreaders of anti-vaccine propaganda in the country. He has claimed that vaccines have caused widespread death. They have not. He has claimed that vaccines are unsafe for pregnant people. They are not. He has claimed that vaccines cause autism. They do not. He has even suggested that vaccines implant government-controlled microchips into patients. They do not. As crazy as Mr. Kennedy's theories are, he has been able to effectively spread false medical information throughout our communities due to his prestigious family's name, his deep pockets, and his websites that publish patently false health and medical information. By inviting him here today, extreme MAGA Republicans elevate a man who tells others that vaccines aren't safe, but vaccines his own children for protection. And it was noted earlier, even asked guests to his party to be vaccinated. 3 billion lives were saved by the COVID-19 vaccine. And if anti-vaccine advocates like Mr. Kennedy did not continuously flood our communities with false health and medical information, more lives could have been saved. Ms. Wiley, thank you for your opening remarks, because that was the reality that New York and so many communities across the country faced. We know that sensational false information spreads much faster than accurate information. From your personal experience, is that true?
It is true, and actually one of the ways that the social media companies, which are the places where the rules are determined, and I think it's important when we keep talking about censorship that they have the power and the legal right to decide what content is on their site, and we're talking about their policies here and their enforcement or failure to enforce them. We've actually raised alarm bells at the Leadership Conference for Civil and Human Rights about the fact that they have not sufficiently enforced their own policies and that this has led to harm, very dangerous harm, which we've talked about. But I just want to point this out as well. The social media companies actually use algorithms to elevate content that it finds draws users. And that's why there is research that shows, far from suppressing right-wing and extremist speech, that actually the algorithms used by social media has elevated them. has elevated them. And that's true from the New York Stern School that has a study out from 2021. That testimony, I think, has occurred in Congress. But even Twitter's own analytics shows that it has elevated conservative speech, which, by the way, that shows, and that research shows that while we're sitting here talking about this as if there is somehow a targeting of viewpoint, it's actually been about targeting whether or not the content is consistent with the policies of the platforms that they themselves set.
So this hearing really is literally putting even more lives at risk for elevating all these, what I think are crazy theories. Because as long as all this anti-vaccine theories continue to spread, it makes people not only question the vaccine, but other vaccines. Would you agree?
I would, and I also want to say it also occurs in our democracy in terms of voting. Mis and disinformation about whether or not voting laws are being violated and whether individuals are violating them have led to death threats. That is also in violation of the social media
The gentlelady has expired.
Well,
The
and
chair
it
now
happens.
recognizes the gentlelady from Wyoming, Ms. Hagan,
It
for 5
happens.
minutes.
I got a death threat after the last weaponization hearing.
Time belongs